Good afternoon, and welcome to a new episode of the Guru Perspective. Today, I definitely want to talk about what happened in the NFC and the AFC Conference Championship games. One game was not really that interesting. The second game was interesting because there were some controversial things that I would like to discuss, and I want to basically check and see what do you think about that Kansas City and Buffalo Bills game. It was pretty crazy too because a lot of people really started to make me look at things a lot more than what I used to. I wasn't thinking nothing of it. I felt like it was plenty of opportunity for the Buffalo Bills, and they just couldn't come through in clutch. Couldn't blame Josh, because Josh Allen always get the blame, and they always throw him under the bus. But the weird thing about this is, yeah, man, why did it actually get to these events? And I would definitely discuss and like to get your opinion on things because it was some very controversial calls in that game. And I've been getting a lot of feedback from, people on just other websites, and some people even talk to me after the game. So I'm hearing it from, just fans themselves. I'm hearing it from talking heads, and I'm hearing it everywhere else too. So it's been pretty interesting to figure what's going on, and is it really a conspiracy behind what's going on with the Kansas City Chiefs? I would like to start off with the NFC game, which wasn't really that interesting to me. If you ask me, at first it was slightly close. It was at 12 to 14 at one point in the game. And then after that, just things just really didn't materialize for the Washington Commanders. And I'm not here to disrespect the Washington Commanders because I feel like they did a really phenomenal job this season. They took advantage of a banged up Detroit Lions team, but you still had to go out there and play to win the game because if they would have lost to the Detroit Lions, people would have been like, "Oh, you guys lost to a banged up team who don't even have, all of his team together, 18 guys on injured reserve." And, so it was a, situation where they went and they did their job and they moved on. We still got a lot of things that we got to figure out. We finally got our defensive and offensive coordinators and everything in house now. I won't really get too in depth with that, but I want to get on to the game. Jaden Daniels had a really solid game for a rookie. They did some trick plays on fourth down. It was like they were supposed to punt. They went for a pass, and just a few things they did to keep the Eagles on their heels. He had 255 yards, a touchdown, and he had a pick. And the crazy part was they had three fumbles. It was three fumble turnover on the ground, and most of those went for points. That was basically the X factor of the game. For a team who was clean against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and they played clean against the Detroit Lions, they played like a rookie would play when he threw the pick. At the same time, the team basically played like a team who didn't really have a lot of playoff experience in that game, and the Philadelphia Eagles do. The crazy part about it was if we had to make a choice on these conference championship games, AFC and NFC, who I would basically have as the MVP, I still think it'll possibly be slightly the same with Josh Allen. But the funny thing about it is not only would it be Josh Allen, but it'll be slightly by hairline fracture to me, or just by a hairline, that it'll really be him because Saquon Barkley is the X factor of the Eagles. You go as Saquon Barkley goes, and that's what I believe is going to happen in the Super Bowl. If he can have a really great, solid game on his birthday at that, him and Cooper DeJean's birthday is on February the 9th, I just may add. So that's going to put a lot more excitement to it. Will they be happy or will they be sad at the end of that game? We'll have to stay tuned and find out, but it's up to Saquon Barkley now. I feel like he got them there. And at one point, they were a passing team. They still do get some really good key passes when they need it. But in a clutch, they usually pass the ball or they turn around and pitch the ball off to Saquon Barkley. And he's been basically making, every dollar that he's earned this year. It's funny, too, because you see the flashbacks of the hard knocks with the New York Giants and them saying, we want you to test free agency and see what you want to do in the free agent market. And he ended up going to Philadelphia Eagles, and in the first year, they were in the Super Bowl. So I know the New York Giants are sick. Going back to the game, I feel like Jalen Hurts didn't have to do much. He had 246 yards and a touchdown, and the touchdown went to, A.J. Brown, Mr. Reading, on the sideline, to keep his composure. It seems like things don't go his way. He's reading. He might be a ticking time bomb. So everything materialized well right now. They're back in the big game, so we just want to see how that goes. Saquon Barkley was the X factor in this game, like I said. He had 15 carries, 118 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And the last touchdown sealed the deal. He ran wild the whole game. It wasn't really no bad conditions as far as snow or anything, so that was good too as well. But when he ran the ball for chunky yardage. He was doing like an average, if I'm not mistaken, 7.9 yards per rush. And that was really impressive to see too, that he, with all the injuries and everything he went through, that him being in this position right now. So I'd like to say congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was well deserved. The final score was 55-23. And I'm going to move on now, and I'm going to talk about the AFC Championship game, where there was a lot more spice and controversy going on. Josh Allen played really well. At first, it seemed like, he was a little ahead of himself and he was doing too much. He was trying to overdo things, and I believe a lot of it had to do with him being nervous, him being in Kansas City as well. But the game was relatively close regardless to the fact. It looked like at one point Kansas City was going to run away with it, but I believe the momentum ended up going and shifting towards the Bills' way. That's what made the game pretty interesting. Josh Allen had 237 yards through the air, and he had 2 touchdowns on the day. James Cook's played really good too. He's really been playing, above his level of play. I think last year, once before even going to the playoffs, he stepped his game up as a receiver and a rusher. He had 13 carries for 85 yards, and he had 2 touchdowns too. The person who actually shined in this game was the wide receiver Mac Hollins. The weird guy who's always walking on the ground with no shoes on. He had 3 receptions for 73 yards, and he had a touchdown. It was some really good plays, and there was some back and forth through the whole game. Patrick Mahomes had like a average game at best, 245 yards and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt had 64 yards, and he had a touchdown as well. And Xavier Worthy had 6 receptions for 85 yards, and he had a touchdown too to go along with that. And that final score was 32-29. Well, I want to say the controversy started when the tight end got the ball. It was a 3rd-and-3 play, if I'm not mistaken. It was Dalton Kincaid who got the ball. He grabbed the ball, and he only had 3 yards to go. When he finally fell down, his knees was down, but then I feel like the ball was right there at the marker. I know a lot of people probably been like, oh, that's the first down, and I feel like they did, Buffalo wrong, and they're in Kansas City, so the refs is helping them. But most times that marker or the line that we see, the yellow line, is not always official. But when they showed that line, I said, damn, he definitely had that first down. I was talking to my nephew at the time. I said, I can't believe they didn't give him that first down. So I didn't really think nothing of it at first. So I said, okay, because I know that Buffalo Bills are going to definitely go for it on this 4th-and-inches play. And when they gave the ball to Josh Allen, they showed that line again, which they say is not official. He was definitely past that line, in my opinion, on inches too. They had him and they pulled him. And when they pulled him, the momentum shift past the line. They were saying they didn't know where the ball was at. Well, if he's past the line, then you should know that the ball's past the line. I mean, that's common sense. They still said, oh, man, I don't think he got it. It wasn't enough. I have video, to show. I still feel like with the first down, it was already made by Dalton Kincaid. But then the second effort, I still believe that he got that first. But when they said it was a turnover on downs, it was shocking to me. That play really hurt them because when that happened, Kansas City got the ball back. I believe they would have possibly sealed the deal or made it to the point where it was out of reach if they would have gave them that first down. And when that happened, Kansas City got the ball, took advantage, and they scored. Buffalo had to score then, and then once that field goal was kicked, you can kind of see it just seems like the life was taken out of Josh Allen because he was always so close, and he gets to the point where he's right there. And I was like, man, this can make history for him if he can go down and convert and to make this game, a touchdown lead. It'd have been like by 5 points. They would have possibly had a lead if he would have scored. What happened was, Kincaid couldn't catch the ball. It was right there on his fingertips, and he dropped it. The theatrics was more than enough for me to say when a lot of people get pissed off right now and say, Kansas City is getting calls and help from the refs. I said, it's pretty interesting. I don't really get caught up in all that. But then that's when people start sending me so much funny things and memes and stuff like with Patrick Mahomes drinking beer when they celebrating this with all the referees and the referee, when they feel like it was time for them to, lose the game, that the referee stepped up big to help them. I really looked at that and I said, man, one of my buddies told me too, my buddy June Evans, he was saying, yeah, Hugh, man, I definitely feel like right now that they're going out the way to make sure that we don't even get to a Super Bowl or even close. And they're wanting for sure to put their stamp on the Kansas City Chiefs making the three-peat. I said, be that as it may, I'm still looking at it from a fan point of view. And I'm saying, because a lot of people said that this is going to probably be the lowest rated Super Bowl because they don't want to see the same teams in the Super Bowl again, but let alone, I know a lot of people is tired of Taylor Swift. And, that a lot of people were even complaining, like every time the Chiefs score a touchdown, why they keep showing her on the camera. I said, man, I was involved with all that crap before, and it didn't really fade me this time. I feel like because if anything, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills had to step their game up. They beat them in the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, they just can't do it. Those plays, I still feel like if they would have went Josh Allen's way, that they would have been going to the Super Bowl. But that was a big if. It feels like the referee definitely changed the momentum on some of those plays because I thought out of at least one of them was a first down. And then, to have two plays that got stuffed on the line in 4th and inches, it's possible, but I definitely felt like he made the marker on Dalton Kincaid. I didn't really too much know about the one on Josh Allen when he got pushed because I felt like the momentum was keeping him backwards and he wasn't really getting where he needed to be. But I mean, you can go and you can YouTube it or you can Google those plays and you be the judge. At the end of the day, when it all counts, Josh Allen came up short again, unfortunately. That final score was 32-29. Kansas City's going to the Super Bowl. Now you have Kansas City Chiefs and you have the Philadelphia Eagles with Saquon Barkley. In this case, I'm looking at it now, and the big X factor is going to be, can Jalen Hurts play a clean game and can he run when they need him to scramble on some crucial yards, first and foremost? Second, A.J. Brown. I'm looking at him, and this is a key factor as well. Will he keep his head into the game if Saquon Barkley's cooking and he's not really getting the seeds or the looks that he would like as the wide receiver? Sometimes he may be open when, Jalen Hurts pitched the ball off and hand it off to Saquon Barkley. Sometimes he may not. I want to know how he will be able to handle it and keep his composure in these situations because not even that, if Devontae Smith's open and he could get some really key factor plays in, would that get to him? Would he feel like he's not getting the ball enough to where it makes him distracted to where he's not really having his head in the game? Because that's what I'm looking for right now. I'm looking for a ticking time bomb ready to explode. And if he explode on the big game, it'll be very theatrical. We seen the last Super Bowl when they played, how Travis Kelce, how he was on the sideline. And it was kind of uncharacteristic of Travis Kelce. But I think a lot of people feel like it might be characteristic of A.J. Brown because him reading that book might have him in a calm, composure, type of way. He might be in his Zen moment. But you never know. In a Super Bowl, it can all explode. So I'm just waiting for a ticking time bomb and seeing what he's going to do and seeing what's going to lead to him acting the way he was when he was acting like a diva and complaining about not getting the ball this season. If Devontae Smith get those looks and he's not getting the looks, then it's definitely going to be more smoke to it as well, or fire. And I think in this situation, if it's a lot of controversy going on with those situations, that might make for an interesting way that we could say, well, yeah, the Eagles lost their composure, and this is the reason why Kansas City Chiefs won. Or you can say that number one defense that the Philadelphia Eagles bring into play got to Patrick Mahomes like Tampa Bay Buccaneers did that year and just shut him down. It's going to be easier said than done now because he has two healthy wide receivers. He has Hollywood Brown as a speedster. He has Xavier Worthy, and don't forget about the old man too. DeAndre Hopkins. When they won the game, he said that in his prime they gave him away for pennies, and now he's in the Super Bowl. I feel like he's going to be an X factor in this game. And one guy too who was very quiet most of the whole season had some really big plays going on in that last game, and is always the next man up with Kansas City too, as you see. Juju Smith-Schuster, that guy wasn't even around most of this whole season making an impact, and now you had him in the conference championship making huge plays. Kansas City has it where they figure out and they get the ball to the right people to win. Travis Kelce is not even caring about getting the ball like that. You see his touchdowns were down this season. All he cares about is doing his job and winning. Same goes for Patrick Mahomes. Same goes for Juju. Same goes for Xavier Worthy. You don't really have all that stuff going on over there. But Jawan Taylor needs to play within himself this game too, because they played a pretty clean game for the most part. Jawan Taylor, if you guys don't know, he's the main guy when it comes down to them playing. He's always off sides, and that's when they call that penalty. Like if they hike the ball and you're already up and you're taking a step back and you already in line to, protect the quarterback and he do it a split second before he hiked the ball, and he did it every single time too. I feel like if they checked on him doing that most times in the game, then Kansas City will be off sides every game. So he has to play within himself too. It's a lot of X factors and keys to this game right now. I won't really give a prediction right now because it's 2 weeks away and I still have time. I still feel like the Eagles, if they come in there with their number one defense and Saquon Barkley play well and AJ can get some good looks and Devontae Smith get some good looks and the Eagles team is happy, they have a really solid chance. If they go in there disgruntled like how when AJ Brown act up and, being a diva because he's not getting what he needs or what he wants, that game can definitely shift the opposite direction. They're trying to go for perfection. They're trying to do a three-piece, something that's never been done before. And even to get to the Super Bowl, you have to give credit where credit is due. And I know a lot of people putting the refs involved in this and getting the refs and saying the refs helped out so much. But you were saying the same thing with the New England Patriots. I've noticed when a team wins that you start to hate them. I was just waiting for that moment for people to start to trade on Patrick Mahomes. And I've said this 3 years ago. I said if Patrick Mahomes win another Super Bowl, people are going to start, giving him the cold shoulder. But when he won that last Super Bowl, they really start hating Patrick Mahomes because they look so similar to how the New England Patriots used to do things in the Patriots way. The only difference is it wasn't any crazy, things that was going on like Spygate and, you didn't have a Spygate and Deflategate that was going on to where people looked at it and even had a different, opinion on the New England Patriots and saying, well, the proof is in the pudding. They were spying on teams when they were doing their walkthroughs and, looking at the game plan and cheating. And they were saying, well, Brady was deflating balls or he had the ball boys do it so his hands could be clean. So that put a question mark on some of the Patriots' victories in their Super Bowl because people feel like the truth was out there, and, it materialized into people hating the New England Patriots and saying the West was giving them all the calls. But now you're starting to see a pattern go on. They didn't have anything happen within the organization where you really could consider them being cheaters in Kansas City, but it definitely seems like the refs are really lenient when it comes to them at some point. I'm not still going to try to get off into all that stuff, but yeah, some of the stuff, it definitely looked like where there's fire, there's smoke, and I just rather you guys give me your opinion on that. At the end of the day, I just want to watch football and I just want to see a fair and a good contest in the Super Bowl like the last one we had. But I still feel like the difference is if you can stop Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts don't play as well as he did this first Super Bowl, if he played anywhere close to what he played that first Super Bowl, and Saquon can cook and do what he's been doing this season, I definitely feel like the Eagles can pull it off. But you can never count out on the heart of a champion and Patrick Mahomes and some of the miracle things that he do as well. He wants it, and he always try to step up to the occasion. A lot of people feel like you can't even touch him without getting fined. So it takes the fight out of the game. But I don't think Philly gonna have any problems with that. They're going to get to him, you know. And I'm surprised that they don't put a spy on Patrick Mahomes because most times when you covering all his receivers and tight ends and covering everybody, and he's in the pocket, he's going to run the ball. You need to get a spy on him in the Super Bowl. So I want to see how everything materializes. I'm so excited to see what's going to happen. Do I think a lot of people are going to chime in? For the main people who say they hate Kansas City Chiefs, I believe there are because it's like when you hate the Buffalo Bills or if you hate a team like the New England Patriots who went to the Super Bowl so many times, people were happy to see the Buffalo Bills lose all the time they did when they went to the Super Bowl 4 times straight. And people are definitely happy when the New England Patriots lost the 3 Super Bowls that they lost. But now I think people are going to look at this Super Bowl because of they hate Patrick Mahomes or dislike them and feel like the refs are, giving them the advantages to see what the Eagles can do, especially if the Eagles come out and have a comfortable lead in this Super Bowl. I think it's going to be more people watching it than they wouldn't watch because of the hatred of the Kansas City Chiefs now. But at the end of the day, man, you got to still watch out for the Chiefs because they're the champions. And to be the champion, you got to beat the champion. And I just want to see how it materializes. I want to see what happened, and I'm gonna check it out regardless, and keep that Super Bowl tradition alive. I'm a football fan. I gotta watch this game because it's not gonna be any really more Super Bowls. It's not gonna be no more football to talk about until in 2026, and the football season won't come back till next September. So yeah, I got to definitely step on that because right now I'm already trying to get my game plan together for the college, for the stats, the basketball, the men and women, and the NBA as well, and even the WNBA. I've been getting a lot of stuff, and I've been putting on my page, the Sports Guru to you, and a lot of breaking news. It's been very interesting, and I want you guys to chime in whenever you get a chance to my Facebook page, the Sports Guru to you. It's basically all the things that I talk about and discuss, like the breaking news and the things that I like to talk about as far as anything that's going around the sports world. I want to talk about some of the stats that I have now to get things going. And I feel like this is the best time to talk about it now since we only had a few games to materialize. It was 2 games, so it gave me a little cushion to talk about what was going on and break down some of the key lineups and the matches. Now I want to focus on some of the stats that I think that you guys would be interested in, especially going into the playoffs. I got some playoff stats that I think that you should check out. First and foremost, I want to talk about what happened with Liam Cohen. I thought that was pretty weird with Liam Cohen because I thought that he backed out on the Jaguars job and a lot of jobs that came about. He said, no, I'm fine. I don't want to, talk about any more, head coaching jobs. He took his name out of the hat and said that he wanted to focus on being with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers made him the highest paid offensive coordinator once he did that. But he still felt like that he was being bombarded into this and he didn't appreciate the aggressive nature of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They can't force you to sign or do anything. If that's what you wanted to do, that's what you were going to do. It was so weird that he said after he signed that contract or before he really got to the point where pen went to paper and the ink dried up on there, he decided to go back to Todd Bowles and say, well, I'm still interested in figuring and seeing what's going to happen with the Jaguars job. That opportunity's still out there for me. So I want to see how that goes. I want to go for that interview. I want to have your blessing to go to this interview. And they looking like, well, we thought that you were already, focus on going back to Tampa Bay Buccaneers and, signing your, highest paid offensive coordinator contract. And he felt like he was forced into it. And they were being very aggressive in making him do it, which nobody can make you do anything you don't want to do. So he decided to go ahead and go on an interview with the Jaguars and go for that Jaguar job. And he got the job. And that's when he told Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield and some of the other guys what happened. I would definitely love to see on the schedule that the Jacksonville Jaguars play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because there's still tension that's going on right now. I just thought that it was weird, but then when I heard it from Adam Scheffler, it made it even seem more weird because there's two sides to the story. But he felt like, well, who I mean when I'm saying him is Liam Cohen and his agent felt like they were being kind of bullied or pressured into signing this contract. And so when they found out that the Jaguars were still interested, they didn't want to back out anymore. They wanted to go ahead and see what they had to say and see the offer to be a head coach. And once he got that head coaching job, it was just things got weird between the Tampa Bay organization and with the Jacksonville Jaguars, him being their new head coach. So I want to see how that materialized because it was a weird situation that was going on as far as him pulling his name out and then eventually getting a job afterwards. Josh Allen became the second quarterback in Super Bowl era to record at least 2 rushing touchdowns in multiple postseason games. And the other is Steve McNair. Allen had 7 career postseason rush touchdowns, tied with Tom Brady for the second most by a quarterback in the Super Bowl era. Steve Young has 8. Chiefs now have won 8 straight playoff games, the third longest win streak in NFL postseason history. The Patriots won 10 games in a row from 2001 to 2005. The Packers won 9 games in a row from 1961 to 1967. With it win on Sunday, the Chiefs had the opportunity to be the first time defending champion, 2-time defending champion, to go to another Super Bowl and to get back to the Super Bowl for a third straight year. So with that win, when they beat the Bills, they already had 2 Super Bowls they went to. But this is the first time we've seen a team that win 2 Super Bowls go to 3 back-to-back-to-back Super Bowls. And I definitely want to see what it's come to. The only thing that's in their way right now, I feel like, is Jalen Hurts and my man Saquon Barkley. I still believe, in a way, since I already chose Kansas City to be at the Super Bowl, and I thought that they were going to lose to the Lions, which didn't materialize. I think this is the time where it possibly can happen too. If you got a number 1 defense, still doesn't matter. But it all depends on how they play within themselves on offense. And will Saquon Barkley have a big game? So yeah, that's going to be a good one. Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn of the Commanders won 14 games this season, including the playoffs. That's tied for the most by any starting quarterback and head coach combo in each of the first seasons with the team. Since 1977 Broncos Craig Morton and Red Miller. The Chiefs are the first team in NFL history to eliminate the same opponent from the playoffs 4 times in a 5-year span. Man, this starting to look like Buffalo Bills in the 90s all over again. And with Sunday's win in the AFC Championship game, Patrick Mahomes now have 17 postseason wins, breaking the tie with Joe Montana for the second most wins in quarterback in playoff history, and only trailing Tom Brady with 35 wins. And the Eagles on Sunday had 55 points, 200 plus rushing yards, 200 plus net passing yards, and 7 plus rushing touchdowns and 0 turnovers. No other team in NFL history has done all that in the same game or regular season in the postseason. So congratulations. Josh Allen became the second quarterback in the Super Bowl era to record at least 2 rushing touchdowns in multiple postseason games. And they're basically saying that with the Steve Young 8, if he would have stayed in the actual contest, which I still believe that'll be broken next year from Josh Allen, but what is he going to do with this situation or this opportunity? Because I feel like if he didn't win this year, he wasn't going to win, against, the Chiefs. The only person I feel like always had the chance and definitely will go toe to toe with, Patrick Mahomes is, Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's not afraid of the smoke, and he would play and he would go toe to toe with him, and he's never to the point where the game gets too big for him. Sometimes I feel like it gets too big for Josh Allen, and that's the reason why things materialize the way they do. Unfortunately, we'll have to figure that all out next year. The Bills are the first team in NFL history to win a playoff game in 5 straight seasons, but not reach the Super Bowl in any of them. And Patrick Mahomes has more Super Bowls than quarterbacks have playoff wins right now. And that's Lamar Jackson. He has 3 playoff wins. Gardner Minshew has 3, surprisingly. Dak Prescott has 2. Kirk Cousins has 1. And Daniel Jones has 1. Trevor Lawrence has 0 playoff wins. And of course, Justin Hubbard had 0 playoff wins. At this point in time of the show, I would like to say I want to give you guys all of my, ways that you can catch up with me, and you can get with me on my platforms, social media. Sports Guru to You is my Facebook page. Like I said, you can click on there and like. What I'm normally talking about is basically the late breaking news and just keeping you up in the sports world and what's going on around the league, NFL, NBA, doesn't matter. Second, Hoovie is my page now where only thing I'm advertising is the podcast and want to focus on my material more. They don't really too much care. When I say they, I mean Facebook and Meta don't want you to put a lot of things out there from the NBA or anywhere else because it's copywritten, and then I understand that now. You don't want to get the red flag because if I get flagged, they're going to get flagged and they'll take that material off. So I'm fine with advertising what I got to advertise on the show now. So that's why I'm going to focus on my podcast and just for you to come and join me on my podcast every Tuesday and Wednesdays. And then I have Sports Guru to You at gmail.com. If you have any comments or questions or things that you want me to add to the show, Hugh.Lee6 is my TikTok page where I put all the NFL, NBA, baseball, whatever highlights on, and I give you guys the highlight reels on there. And of course, you can catch me on the Google Perspective every Tuesday at 1 p.m. and the Google Sports Session every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Thank you all for chiming in, and I will see you in the next episode. Until that moment, I would like to say for everybody out there, you be safe and enjoy your week.